The gentleman from Bourbon for explanation of the bill and a motion thereon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To start with, we do have a House Committee sub, and that's dealing with our University of Kentucky Disease and Diagnostic Lab, as well as Louisville Zoo and the Newport Aquarium to make sure that they're able to operate in an education facility that if you're a veterinarian that's involved in that, you do not fall under, you're carved out for this bill. So with that being said, I've asked the clerk to please report House Committee Sub 1.
Clerk, please report.
House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 167.
Gentleman from Bourbon.
Move for adoption.
Motion is for the adoption of House Committee Substitute 1 to House Bill 167. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. House Committee Substitute 1 is adopted. Gentleman from Bourbon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the House Bill 167 as amended, first I want to talk about the process with this bill, and I wish every bill could go through this. This bill's been out there for over 2 years. We actually filed it last session. If you remember, it was 180-page monstrosity, and we started the work. We had both the KVMA, there's 2 statewide veterinarian groups, the KVMA and the KVVE, both came to the table. We worked through this. We had a series of stakeholder meetings over the interim. We actually heard the bill during the interim, and then we wrapped up here in January with both groups. We met over here in the annex. We sat for 2 hours and hashed this out. And we have 100% unanimous from both boards approve this bill and approve everything that we've come to it. And we've gone from that 180 pages down to 69 pages that it is today. Some of the highlights in here, the biggest part, the Practice Act hadn't had a major overhaul in over 30 years. So one of the biggest things, along with the modern age and technology, is we have telehealth. And this is very important, even for your large animal. I've had several members ask me, how does this apply? Well, if you have a herd of cows, if you have your horses, you call your veterinarian at 2 o'clock in the morning, they tell you how to address the situation. You're conducting telehealth. Telehealth is very important. That's something that we need to find out in statute, which we have done. Working on licensed veterinarian technicians. One of the one reasons we have vet techs leaving this area of expertise is because they're not getting utilized properly. So with the shortage of veterinarians, it's extremely important that we spell out what those veterinary technicians can do, help keep them in the industry, help with our shortage of veterinarians. We have animal control agencies, which have been authorized to use the euthanasia for shelter animals for quite some time. We need to make sure that they're in compliance with the USDEA. So we need to have that language in this bill and update them and protect all our counties that have animal shelters. Probably most interesting in here, starting the veterinary client-patient relationship, making sure that you have that. If you have a large herd of cattle, obviously your veterinarian's not going to be familiar with every single cow, but they need to have that herd mentality. They need to know what's going on with your herd and make sure they're familiar with them. We have language in there for reporting of animal abuse, saying that the vet may report it. At one point, there was a shall in there. That's been struck. We're to may report it. One of the biggest things, another big thing, is the registration of vet clinics. We've all talked about the shortage of veterinarian clinics across the state. Right now, we do not require those clinics to be registered. So we have a registration process that everybody will be registered by 2025. This will help us to identify the drought areas of Kentucky where we're missing those large animal veterinarians and small animal veterinarians to help us to identify how to help them. And then on top of that, we've also included I'm going to call it a scholarship as part of this that'll be under the KBVE, where we can actually, once we identify those areas, the KBVE can put money towards that. That is not money that's coming out of the general fund. It'll be money that they have in the bank now, that they have a way of self-funding that. And we can, just like Teachers for America, we can have veterinarians go to that area to provide and cover some of that desert drought area. I heard a lot of questions being called. So, Mr. Speaker, without any questions, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If not, I move for passage of House Bill 167 as amended by House Committee Sub 1.